Hi, everyone. Welcome to the third section of the social entrepreneurship module. Today, we're going to be focusing on the numbers. So, here we are going to be talking a little bit about pricing, revenue, and financial tools for creatives. We know that maybe we won't be able to answer all of your questions through this presentation, but we do hope that some of the templates that are offered will be really helpful for you. So, our main learning goals for today, or our main objectives, have to do with understanding the basic concepts behind pricing your work and brainstorming creative ways to drive revenue. We also want to offer you access to practical tools and templates that will help you understand the initial investment and expenses that you'll need to run your business, and also how to control income and expenses on a daily basis. Pricing and targeting your art. This is maybe one of the most difficult topics for all of us. And we know that there's no one size fits all solution. It all depends on where we're located, the type of work we're creating, and the level of experience and other factors. So, where do we begin? Despite the sector we're in, almost everyone has a hard time calculating the price for their work. However, this is one of the most important exercises that we can do at the very beginning, and it's also something that's dynamic, that can be changed over time, and it will help us to understand and better value the time and energy that goes into what we do. So, before getting started, it also helps to analyze what others are doing. What are other artists and creatives doing in your sector? So, let's take some time first to do some basic market research and explore what are others offering? What do their prices look like? What channels are they using? Are they using email, social media, newsletters, word of mouth? And how do they communicate with their audience? What tone are they using? Is it more professional or is it more informal? And finally, how do they build community around their work? This is really important if we really want to consider ourselves social entrepreneurs. How are we creating community around the work that we're doing? And this doesn't mean that we have to copy the work that others are doing. It simply means that we have to gain inspiration and even find potential ways to collaborate with them. After taking a look at your sector, it's also important to analyze your potential clients prior to pricing. So you'll learn more about this in the marketing and communication module, but we just wanted to cover a few concepts here that are important to keep in mind. So the first is that not everyone is your potential client. So this is the idea of finding your niche. What is it that you're good at? Who are the people that you're directing your work towards? It's important to reflect on what your potential clients look like, what they think, what they're feeling, what they do. And this is sometimes called the customer buyer persona. Define different ways to identify your segment. Here's some important questions to think about. Who are my potential customers? Why would they even buy my art? So here we have to be really honest with ourselves as well. Where can I find them? And what would they be willing to pay? And then finally, what type of artwork or formats would attract them the most? So, all of these questions you can help resolve by interviewing people that are close to you or even hosting a small, fun focus group to get feedback from people from different backgrounds. Okay, so here's a basic pricing formula that we wanted to offer. We found this through Usatu Musa. She's a woman that's in Spain that accompanies women creatives. So you can also take a look at her as well. She shares that by calculating your pricing formula, you have to keep in mind the cost of the materials plus the hourly wage times the hours spent plus your perceived value. In order to fill in this formula, you obviously have to take into account what are the cost of the materials that are being used, but you also have to pay attention to how long it takes you to create a piece. You can also look at local standards for living wages for artists and creatives if there's a national association in your region that promotes fair pay for artists. When we're talking about perceived value, this often has to do with the quality of the product, its social impact, or its emotional or psychological benefits for the client. Here, like we said, to be able to fill in this formula, it's important to keep in mind how long it takes you to create a piece and also to be aware of local standards for living wages. But another important aspect is to keep in mind, how are we going to drive revenue? How are we going to constantly be driving revenue into our business? And entrepreneurs are always looking for new and creative ways to capture revenue through enhancing products or services or determining what we charge clients. For example, you may charge a premium version for a service that you offer or a subscription rate to maintain clients as members and have an ongoing stream of revenue, or by adding new products such as prints that are easily accessible to different ranges of clients and their income levels. These are some of the questions that you can ask yourself on how to drive revenue creatively. First, do you have a wide variety of revenue drivers or just a few? Are there other creative ways that you can think of to capture revenue? And how often are you changing your prices? Like we said, this can be something that's dynamic and adapted, but you don't want to be always changing your prices because that can confuse your customers. And then finally, maybe you can use different prices for different market segments. For example, pricing based on customer loyalty or other creative tactics. Here, we wanted to stop for a second and try to think about ways that we can help the other members of the Mentor community. And so, if you've already gone through this process of pricing your art and targeting your art, what mistakes have you made? And also, what lessons have you learned? And we invite you to share them in the forum with others. So now we're here on lesson 2, and here we wanted to focus on your model for making money. So while we won't be able to go into depth into each of these different templates, we did want to offer practical tools to help you understand the basic business numbers that you'll need. And we're also here and available to offer mentorship or support or accompaniment if you need to be able to better understand how to fill in these templates. There are many tools out there to help you define your business idea on paper, but when it comes down to the numbers, we've found that the templates that are offered by Economistas Sin Fronteras in Spain are really helpful. And we invite you to share with us as well if you know of other organizations or businesses or business support organizations that help in this sense. The first tool that we wanted to share is a basic financial viability plan. This financial viability plan is a tool that helps you to better understand the initial investment and the funding that you'll need to get your business started. Each tab on this financial viability plan will help you better calculate what's needed for a business idea to exist. The first part includes the project information. So here you would just fill in the basic information about your project, and it's important to fill this out prior to the rest of the tabs. The second has to do with investment and funding. This is the initial investment that is required. What do you need to get up and running, and how much will it cost? And then under this investment and funding, also the initial funding that's required. How are we going to pay for this? So costs and funding. So the next part of the financial viability plan goes over income. So what products or services are we going to sell and at what price? How many units per month? And this, you can adapt the Excel to suit your business needs. But these are the main questions usually when addressing income. What products or services are we going to sell, at what price, and how many units do we estimate per month? The next section has to do with variable expenses. So, how many expenses will we have for each of the products or services that we sell? And the last has to do with fixed expenses. So, how many expenses will we have every month if we do not sell anything? So, these will be the fixed structural costs. This could be if we're renting a space, how much we have to pay to keep our business up and running, even if we don't sell anything. Here in the presentation and in the notes of this course in the transcript, you can download the templates in different languages, and so they're available here. The second template that we'd like to share with you all today is a basic control sheet for income and expenses. You may already have something like this, and if you do, that's great. And we invite you to share your models with others so that they can also learn. But for us, this is a very helpful administrative tool and accounting tool to keep track of what's going in and out of your project or your business on a daily basis. On this page of the presentation, you can download the templates in English and Spanish and in the other languages of the project. So please feel free to download them and let us know how they go and if you need support in filling in the numbers or better understanding how to go through and track what's coming in and going out of your business, let us know. There are also many other helpful online tools out there to help you calculate your price per hour and how much income you should be generating a month, especially if you're a freelancer. So, in Spain, for example, there's this tool that's providing a quick orientation without taking into account VAT. So, you can analyze how much you should be charging per hour based on the income and vacation days that you would like to have. So, we've included a link to this tool in the presentation as well. And finally, if you'd like to explore these and other templates that Economistas Sin Fronteras have, we've included a link to their organization. It is in Spanish, but the tools are easily downloadable and you're able to translate them into your own language as well if needed. From our experience, especially mine, if numbers aren't really your thing, it's important to find people around who complement you in this endeavor. So, we know, however, that understanding numbers is super important and it's not impossible to be able to understand. So, we encourage you to continue learning and growing if you find that financial literacy is a necessary skill that you need to develop. If you need help with numbers or any other aspects of your organizations, there might be in your countries different organizations or entities that can help. So we know of a few. One of them is We Make Change. We Make Change is an organization that supports social entrepreneurs in different aspects, so including marketing, communication, management. You for Impact is another organization that's here in Spain that supports social entrepreneurs and also NGOs and other large businesses by putting university students who are completing their final master's thesis or their final thesis in their graduate programs and putting them in contact with organizations and entrepreneurs who need their support. So this is it's a great networking organization, but it's also a great tool to be able to access young talent that's willing to help and engage, especially in the sustainable development goals. And the third idea is by forming an advisory council. So here we'll go to this in more detail in the next slide. In our case at Espacio Geranios, when we made the transition into our larger co-working space where we're located now, we needed the support of a team of people that could offer us guidance, especially related to the numbers. So although we have people on our team that are dedicated to administrative aspects, we decided to form a small advisory council of people who had recently retired from the financial sector and who were willing to support our work and help us define clear financial goals and tools to help monitor them. So, this is also another recommendation if you have people that are close to you that have more expertise in these areas and are willing to offer their time. You can also engage them by promoting the social aspect of your work. So thank you so much. You've made it to the final part of the numbers module. Here are a few key takeaways that we wanted you to head home with today. So the first is a basic formula for pricing and targeting your art. The second are easy to use templates that will help it to determine the financial sustainability of your business idea and also offering you ideas for being able to capture what's going in and out of your organization. And we also wanted to share with you organization and ideas for complementing your skills if finances aren't really your thing. Okay, so here we wanted to share the practical exercises for the financial sustainability module. We wanted to first ask you to share your ideas in the forum, things that have worked well for you. So, if you're just getting started and have yet to find time to sit down and work on the numbers behind your business, now is the time. So, we'd invite you to go back, take this presentation, download the basic financial viability plan template to better understand what's needed to get going. And then, secondly, if you've been in business for a while, we'd invite you to share your experience with us in the forum about what works best for you when it comes to financial sustainability. We look forward to hearing from you in the chat. So, thank you so much for joining us for the numbers section of this module. We'll see you in the next section, which has to do with finding funding and networks.